Credit ratings firm Moody's has further trimmed its economic growth forecast for South Africa to 0.7% in 2019 from a June forecast of 1%, saying a slowdown in global and regional growth would impact negatively on government tax revenue and hurt growth. Moody's, which assigns South Africa debt its only remaining investment-grade rating, sees gross domestic product growth in 2020 at 1.5%. Moody's says fixing loss-making power utility Eskom Holdings is complex and it will take time for the government and the company to agree to a plan. According to Moody's, fiscal risks and political constraints to economic reform in South Africa were reflected in its current credit rating of one notch above speculative grade, but that maintaining the level depended on how quickly the Ramaphosa-led government can implement promised reforms. And the World Bank expects Somalia's economy to grow by 2.9% this year from 2.8% last year before growth quickens to 3.2 to 3.5% in the medium term. The Horn of Africa country has been in turmoil since 1991 when clan warlord overthrew President Said Barre and then turned on each other. Over the past decade, it has been hit by famine and sporadic terror attacks by Al-Qaeda-linked militant group Al-Shabaab. The World Bank, however, says the higher growth forecast for the next 3 to 5 years will depend on the country being able to sustain its current economic reform momentum. And as global efforts to combat climate change gain momentum, Nigeria, Africa's top oil producer and biggest importer of fossil fuel power generators, has an important role in keeping global warming below 1.5 degrees centigrade. In 2015, 195 countries stated their commitment at the Conference of the Parties to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change to hold the increase in the global average temperature to well below 2 degrees centigrade above pre-industry levels. Meanwhile, Nigeria has the second highest rate of deforestation in the world, even as its forestry industry has the potential to become a strong foreign exchange earner if government can tap into the opportunities therein. So let's see the likely impact of this global warming on Nigeria timber industry. I'm now being joined by one of the research analysts with financial derivatives company, Nosike Mwajide. Good afternoon, Nosike. Thank you for coming through to us.
Thank you for having me.
Now, the global warming controversy is becoming highly politicized and polarizing. Many countries, including Nigeria, have committed to cutting carbon emissions. What impact is this likely to have on the timber industry in Nigeria?
Well, the issue of global warming is something that still polarizes opinion. Also because on one hand, you have the energy producers who are bent on continuing to export energy to the rest of the world. They live, or they want us to continue to live in a world where we consume fossil fuels as the primary source of energy. But technology has ensured or has made sure that renewable forms of energy have become cheaper over the years and cleaner and more sustainable. So, so much so that the anti-global warming proponents are still in denial of the extent to which global warming has ravaged or has caused climate change. The good thing is that the G7, the top politicians in the 7 most advanced countries in the world, have come together to take action on cutting carbon emissions and ensuring that we switch to renewable forms of energy, solar power, and electric cars. Some of the devastating effects of climate change over the years have been desertification and droughts in some parts of Nigeria. I mean, over the decades, or over several decades, we've been cutting down trees. There's been deforestation. There's been massive deforestation, and at the moment, Nigeria is a net importer of timber. There was no sensitization of the need to replant or to do the opposite of deforestation, which is afforestation, basically. So right now we have the global warming has caused extreme droughts at sometimes during the year, and extreme floods at other times. The extreme droughts and the desertification is something that happens in the northern parts of Nigeria, and that has eroded the farmland, has made the farm or the forest reserves and land even much smaller, and you have less land to grow timber on, and it has impacted Nigeria's output negatively.
All right,
one way of obviously.
Now, yeah, Nosike, just before I let you go, we really don't have much time now. How far can tree planting go in reversing this trend?
Okay, tree planting isn't just tree planting anymore. As a matter of policy, some countries like China have a one person, one tree policy. There are over 1 billion people in China, and every human being is, as a matter of policy, gets to plant a tree. And if you have that, if you bring that to Nigeria, over 200 million people planting trees, we'll have 200 million trees in the next 40 years. I mean, we need stronger laws as a matter of policy and regulation. Then also laws governing illegal logging. There needs to be sensitization of the importance of increasing forest reserves, which will boost the timber industry and will combat global warming from this standpoint.
All right. Okay. Thank you for your time, Nosike Mwajide. Okay, let's do a quick crossover now to the Nigerian Stock Exchange for update from Temple Ashaju. Hello, Temple. Saw a marginal increase at intraday.
Well, those increases have now been wiped off the market. We are seeing some losses at this point, down some 0.18, 0.20%. Because, again, we saw some profit takers and some sell down around the shares of Nestle PLC, which is now down to 1,080 Naira by some 5%. And, of course, Dangote Cement, these two key heavyweights in the market, are currently experiencing some sell down and in some quarters a bit of profit taking. That's what we've seen on these two key counters, and that's what has suddenly weighed down the market right now.
Okay, Temple. Now, Dangote Flour Mill has postponed their EGM. Why? And how is the market taking it?
So investors are still pleased with that. It gives them time to actually bet more on this on the shares or the stocks of Dangote Flour. Before now, they had actually given out a notice to investors to ensure that they regularize their current or savings accounts with their registrars, so that when the credit of 24 Naira per unit, which Olam is buying each share of Dangote Flour, is consummated, they will be able to seamlessly get their credit in their accounts. And the deadline for that is for 24th of this month. So they had to shift the AGM, having gotten an injunction from a federal high court till the 14th of October, so that all of these will pan out smoothly and investors can get their pay. But it is still good for investors because as we speak right now, so much of capital appreciation is what we experience in the markets.
All right, Temple, let's wrap it up at this time. And let's wrap up the program. Thank you for watching. I'm Chimeze Obi Iwagu.